consistently, and he had lost himself in service to a large extent, but he was still suffering. His friend Orville Browning came in to see him one time in his office and found him so anguished that Browning was really deeply worried for him and said, you know, you have to take care of yourself. We are depending on you. And Lincoln looked at him and said, Browning, we all must die sometime. And they were both crying when Browning left.
Where the body was about to fall. Zarathustra, however, remained standing, and just beside him fell the body, badly injured and disfigured, but not yet dead. After a while, consciousness returned to the shattered man, and he saw Zarathustra kneeling beside him. "What are you doing there?" he said at last. "I knew long ago that the devil would trip me up. Now he drags me to hell. Will you prevent him?" "On my honor, my friend," answered Zarathustra, "there is nothing in all of what you speak. There is no devil and no hell. Your soul will be dead always, sooner than your body. Fear, therefore, nothing any more." The man looked up distrustfully. "If you speak the truth," he said, "I lose nothing when I lose my life. I am not much more than an animal which has been taught to dance by blows and scanty fare." "Not at all," said Zarathustra. "You have made danger your calling, and in that there is nothing contemptible. Now you perish by your calling. Therefore, I will bury you with my own hands." When Zarathustra had said this, the dying one did not reply further, but he moved his hands as if he sought the hand of Zarathustra in gratitude.
To come to terms with that. Herb, I've been worried about death since I was 8 years old, as far as I can remember, and this is something that has always troubled me. Just like Sam Keane says in the movie, this is unacceptable. I didn't sign on for that, and there's no way that I'm gonna. It's just wrong. But a couple of things that I've always found comforting. One is from this ancient Roman philosopher Seneca. You ever do any of his stuff? I like him a lot. In an essay about death, Seneca says, a lot of people ask me, how will the world be after I'm gone? To which Seneca replies, it'll be just like it was before you were here. I like that. I don't know if that comforts you, but I just thought that was cool. How will the world be when I'm gone? Just like it was before you were here.
Dan, it's lovely to see you looking so fit and obviously pulled through so marvelously from your operation. But there's going to come a time when we don't pull through.
Yeah, what about that?
What about that? Do we get consolation from science, from Darwin, from what?
Well, I guess we do. A dear professor of mine just died just a few days ago, and I've been thinking quite a bit about it. And the idea that he lives for eternity in heaven doesn't give me any consolation at all. The idea that his memory lives on with his children and his friends and his colleagues. And of course, he has his work, or he had his work, which will live on. Not everybody gets that kind of legacy. And I think that for those that we love that die young or without that sort of issue, the best consolation is just that they had a chance. They got to be on this stupendous planet and live for a while, and they may have suffered. And I think seeing our suffering in the guise of the whole cosmos can make it seem not quite so earth-shatteringly special. Yeah, we suffer, but
You're right. It is a consolation to have a few books behind one, or musical compositions, or whatever. Or I suppose a great family life, and there are plenty of things of that sort. I'm rather moved by the astounding improbability of my own existence. When you think about the odds against our coming into existence, it is a huge privilege to be here, and I sort of feel that you want to say that when people say they're bored, you've no business to be bored. You exist. There are gazillions of people who could have existed in your place, and many of them would have been a lot better than you. So stop whinging. And the same thing when people bemoan their lot, or indeed bemoan the fact that life is going to come to an end. You're lucky to have had anything at all, is what I feel like saying to them. Stop moaning.
Exactly. And we're not filled with fear and trembling at the thought that there were all those years before we were alive. So it shouldn't bother us that there are going to be all those years when we're not alive.
Mark Twain, I think, said, I was dead for billions and billions of years before I was born and never suffered the slightest inconvenience.
Yeah, right, sure.
As many do, I think much more likely is that people are religious because they know they're going to die, and they know their loved ones are going to die, and that's the tragedy. It's not that bothers them. It's not the tragedy of not being able to come to the final cause. It's the tragedy of knowing that your life and all the wonderful things that you can do and living and the people you love, that's all going to end. It seems to me that provides the driving force for religion much more than these philosophical wonderings.
To the contrary, Hubble noticed it's speeding up. It's getting faster all the time. All subsequent experiments have shown this. In fact, if we hadn't discovered the Big Bang when we did, and we were trying for it now, examining the red light, some of that evidence would already have blown past us. If you can get your mind around this, as around Sir Martin Rees's imagery of our cosmic future. As Professor Haldane used to say, the universe is not just stranger than we imagine, it's stranger than we can imagine. But we know this much, that it's blasting apart very, very fast. A great deal of nothingness is certainly coming to us. There's an enormous amount of nothingness in our future. And even if we aren't prepared to wait for that, or to wait for species change to overtake us, we can see already in the night sky the Andromeda galaxy on collision course with our own. That's certainly going to happen. Whether we destroy ourselves or the sun blows up or not before that, probably not. Collision course. Now, is this part of a plan? You certainly have to ask yourself. Is that part of a plan? If so, whose plan is it? That so much nothingness is built right in and is headed straight for us.
We don't have any excuse for dicking around, excuse me, on this point. We do have a lot better information. We do know a lot now about the nature of our species internally, our kinship with other creatures, our origin in common with them, the fact that we have been lucky enough, or not lucky enough, because that's solipsism in itself, to be not among the 99.9% of species so far to have occurred on this planet who have become extinct. Right? Some design, by the way, of that is that we live on a planet that is the only one that isn't either too hot or too cold, just in our speck of a solar system, to support life. And very large parts of our planet are too hot or too cold to do that, even now. And we live, as we increasingly understand, on a climatic knife edge. What kind of design is this? My point is, if you want to derive ethics and morals from reality, from human solidarity, from actual knowledge of where we stand in relation to the universe, it may not be too depressing to realize that we are in fact alone in this. We can't pray supernatural aid. We can't invoke what we don't know. We're arrogant and vain when we do it. It tempts us into saying that we're better than people of other faiths or other religions. And that if we understood we were all stranded on a rather difficult shore, born into a losing struggle, with every day of our lives being more and more subtracted from less and less. The stoicism of that conclusion might make us turn towards each other in a more interested and definite way, and would demonstrate more integrity and would free us from the great retardant of human civilization, the realm of illusion.